I'm just taking off the upper intake plenum, which isn't very hard, just following the FSM. I've already taken off all of the air intake and disconnected pretty much all of the harnesses that could be connected to anything related to the intake plenum. I did go ahead, which I don't have to because I've done this before, but it just helps me to remember where everything goes in case I forget. I've labeled all of my hoses and connectors, except for this one because I know this goes to the mass airflow sensor. Anyways, I've just labeled them all, that way when I go back to put everything back together, I know exactly where everything goes and I'm not guessing. Even though I've done the driver's side already and I kind of have a good idea how everything goes, I don't want to forget. So, get this out of the way. Another thing that I did that I thought was really helpful was, because it was my first time doing it, and even now I like doing it, it just makes things a lot easier. So I've got it labeled upper intake plenum bolts, and it's 18 bolts. And once I take one out, I'll just stick it through this little cardboard. I got everything numbered, so I know exactly where everything goes. So I'm just going to take these bolts off and loosen them, or take them off in the reverse order that you would normally put them on. Starting with 18, which is right across from the floor right here. Start right here. And bam. This bolt's not going anywhere, and I know exactly where it goes when it's time to put it all back together. So for me, the way I like to work or disassemble things, organization for me is the key, because it keeps things clean and tidy and takes all the guesswork out of it. So I'm going to continue with all these bolts, undoing them and putting the cardboard. So that was 18. Here is 17. Alright, so now that I got all of the bolts off of there, let me show you what my cardboard looks like right now. So here's what it looks like. I got all the bolts numbered and where they're supposed to go, and all the screws in it. I mean, not all the screws, all of the nuts held in with the screw and also numbered. Alright, so now I'm going to lift up the intake manifold. Upper intake plenum is what it's called. There is a hose, a coolant hose, I believe, on the back side of the throttle body. It was hard for me to get to. The way that the clamp was positioned, I couldn't really get a hold of it. So that's why I went ahead and got all the bolts off so I could lift it up just a tad, so I get in there and pull that clamp down. So I'm gonna do that. So I was correct, it is a coolant hose. There is another hose I forgot to take off, and I'll show you which two of those are once I get back there and get it off. Looking at the back of the upper intake plenum, this was the one I took off first, this one right here, and then this was the other one that I forgot. They're both coolant hoses. Alright, so now I'm just removing the lower intake plenum bolts, following the factory service manual instructions. So we'll start with 8. The back one was 8, now I'm working on 7. I've got all my holes numbered and stuff. 8, 7. Sorry, got 6 out. And 5. 4. 3. 2. I should be able to lower intake plenum. I got that taped off. I'm not going to start working on getting this wiring harness out of the way, which honestly is the worst part of this job. Like I said, I got to a good stopping point. I'm going to go in, take a shower, get to bed, come back out here tomorrow night, and get back to work. My goal for tomorrow or the next video I post, if I end up posting it, is to get the valve cover off. It shouldn't be that hard of a job. This bolt back here, I can already tell is going to be a pain. Maybe this one right here too. It's going to be a pain too. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, nothing else breaks, but we'll find out when we get there. If you thought this video was informational, you liked it, you made it to the very end, thanks. Give me a like if you want. Consider subscribing. I don't really post very much, so there's really not much to see. But on the days I do post something, it's usually pretty interesting if you consider this interesting. And I will see you guys. Well, you guys will see me on the next video in like 6 months if I post one.